In the first line of his soliloquy, Hamlet wishes that his too solid flesh would melt. At least that's how it reads in my copy.
But my edition reads, "Oh, that my too sullied flesh would melt."
You're probably thinking, this is one of the most famous plays in the world. How can there be discrepancies like this?
First of all, there are 3 different versions of the play that we refer to as sources. 2 earlier versions printed soon after the play was written.
And these are called the first and the second quartos.
And a later version of the play printed in an edition of the complete plays of Shakespeare, almost 20 years later.
This is called the first folio. Now, sometimes the differences between these are seemingly small, like this one word here.
And sometimes they're quite large. One of Hamlet's famous monologues in Act 4, Scene 4, appears in one of the early versions, and it doesn't in either of the other versions.
So now, let's return to Hamlet's solid,
or sullied,
flesh. It turns out that the later edition has the word solid, and this seems the most intuitive from the sense of the passage. If Hamlet's flesh is going to dissolve into a vapor, solid makes a nice strong contrast.
But both the earlier versions have not sullied, but a third term, sallied, which could mean assailed or assaulted. While Shakespeare could have meant this here, most people think it's a variant spelling of the word sullied, soiled, dirty, or polluted. This also makes sense in the passage. Hamlet sees his earthly flesh as dirty or polluted and wishes it would dissolve into a heavenly dew and leave the dirt behind.
At any rate, it's impossible to know what Shakespeare really meant. In fact, it's possible that he liked one word for a while and then changed it for another.
But it's also possible that one of the versions just had a simple printer's error.
Well, I still think solid makes the most sense. But wait a minute, Sarah. You said that the word sallied might have been a variant spelling of sullied. What does that mean? You must be thinking, how many ways are there to spell that word? Wouldn't Shakespeare have just looked it up?
Looked it up in what? There was no such thing as a dictionary yet. The first book you might call an English dictionary, it only listed 2,500 words, wasn't published until a few years after Shakespeare wrote Hamlet.
That's amazing, especially if we think about Shakespeare's vocabulary. He uses far more different words in his works than any other writer in the history of the English language. Over 17,000 different words. And he's responsible for introducing roughly 3,000 words into English that didn't exist before that. And he didn't even have a dictionary, much less a thesaurus.